Hello everyone. My name is Brian. This is my first video. Thank you for your time. Thanks for joining me. I know things are getting a little weird in America. Everyone's worried. So many questions. I planned on doing this channel about topics like being a good dad and health and wellness, anti-aging, family outings, maybe some current events, stuff like that. But we find ourselves in the middle of something, a national, global, I'm going to call it an event. I'm not going to call it a crisis at this point because I think most of the fear and anxiety is media driven. I do think this is a big problem. People are dying. Don't get me wrong, losing lives is never anything to sneer at or take lightly. It's important stuff. I think the one unique thing, I'm going to say there's two unique things about this virus. A coronavirus is not one thing. This covers many different viruses. So what I should call it is the Wuhan virus because that's where it came from, like the Ebola virus. Okay, this is not a racist term, my friends. This is not a racist term. I should make a whole separate video on the list of viruses that are identified by their geographical location. So let's move on from that ridiculous concept right now. Excuse me, I'm looking at a lot of notes here, and a few facts have to be brought to your attention. As of today, I think it's over 500 now people have died in America. That's a lot of people. In my mind, that's a lot of people, but let's just understand that over 2,200 people died last week of pneumonia. This is a shocking thing. I don't think people are aware of this. Why would they be? It's not something you learn. It's not something you learn. It's something I heard, and it's amazing. And influenza, the total deaths last week for influenza exceeded the total number of CV-19 deaths in America on the whole. So, as the flu deaths reach 23,000 dead Americans, I mean, how are we judging this? Now, I understand that it's more infectious. It seems to have a resilience to being able to live on a surface, I think. Is that true? So, I heard the 9-day thing was reaching. It's more like 2 or 3 days. It's more like 2 or 3 days. Now, okay, so let's go for some good news. There's a lot of good news. The good news is there's a lot of good news. It's not very serious if you're young. If you're in good health. Now, in my opinion, my friends, this is where we drop the ball. We have a vulnerable piece of our population the elderly, and the ones who are compromised in some other way, like they have, diabetes, heart condition, probably any number of things that make you more susceptible to virus and make virus more harmful. So, what I'm trying to say is, the good news is that it's not very serious to the part of our population, to most of our population, to the healthy part of our population, which is most of the American population. We're all in pretty good health. But we are not prepared. We got lucky. Don't you think we got lucky on this? We got lucky on this. We are not prepared for something bad. What if it was really bad and it was attacking healthy people? Which I was shocked to find out that the H1N1 was attacking healthy people 10 years ago and children. We'll get back to that in a second. It's kind of the end topic of this video is we're not prepared. I mean, can you imagine if the electricity or the water goes off? If the grid actually falls down, the water does go off. Did you know that? I always thought if the electricity goes off, well, we still have water. We're fine. No, the grid is still up and running. It takes, I don't even know what it is, thousands if not more. I don't know if it goes into millions of volts, but it's lots of volts, I think, to move that water. And so, I mean, can you imagine if that were to happen, if that were to go off? I mean, there'd be, forget the toilet paper. You may as well, I don't know why people, ran for toilet paper so much. I think I might buy a Japanese toilet. It might be cheaper now than actually trying to figure out how to get toilet paper off of Craigslist. But anyway, I digress. One thing for sure, we're changed forever. I mean, I think most of us got really scared. I don't want to say a bad word. Really scared. I mean, our vulnerability has just been shown to the American public. This is a good thing. This is valuable lessons we're learning. We now as a society need to be making judgment calls on how the heck to move forward. I hear that the Obama administration didn't replenish the masks after the H1N1 scare. Or it was a national emergency. I'm going to prove that to you in a second. I have a little video. Nobody did. We've gone through this administration now. President Trump did not replenish the masks. Nobody did. Nobody caught that. We need someone to audit all this stuff. I have no doubt Trump would have put it right back. He loves to spend money on America. He's got no problem signing checks at all. I think we're going to find that all out real soon when he starts mailing them out. I hear they passed that bill. Anyway, I want to show you something. Sorry, this is my first video. I don't even know what I'm doing right here. I just needed you to see this crazy video. Okay, so here's what I keep doing to people at work. I keep tricking them. I don't tell them what this is. I'm like, hey, watch this video.
Today's numbers are about 4 times higher than what...
Oh, sorry. Okay, here we go.
Today's numbers are about 4 times higher than what the CDC reported just 6 days ago.
Oh, I know.
Our estimates, we believe, give us a better estimate of how much disease, hospitalization, and death there is.
The government now believes roughly 8 million children have come down with the virus.
Children.
In addition to the 540 who have died, 36,000 have been
dead.
hospitalized.
36,000
Among
in the
adults
hospital.
18
Children.
to 64, there were an estimated 12 million cases, 53,000 hospitalizations, and almost 3,000 deaths.
What we are
3,000
seeing
deaths.
in
Okay, so what my
2009
point
is
is-
unprecedented.
But the agency insists the
Okay, hang on. Okay, here's my point. If you get down to it, it gets up to about 4,000. If you start looking at what happened, I'm just looking at videos really, but it said it got to about 4,000. But where was the panic? Right now, people are attempting to gain power for this. Where was the panic 10 years ago? Where was the stock market crash? Well, guess what? This channel is going to report the good news. Here's the good news. Oops. Okay. Here's the good news. Number one, it seems that the younger generations have some kind of resistance. Some kind of resistance to this thingy. Okay, to this thing. Thank God. Thank you, God. Number two, it also seems that death rate is going to be extremely low. Here was their trick. Okay, here's their BS. I call BS on them. They were predicting this thing at like 4%. That's 4 people out of 100 people. That's a lot of people. Okay, so right now, this thing is going to dip. I mean, that number is going to fall because all these people are probably, unfortunately, already infected and they're able to fight it off on their own. That's the great news here. So, whether deliberate or intentional, I think, deliberate, I don't know. Whether on accident, I should say, or intentional or deliberate. Whether on accident or intentional, they were reporting a 4% death rate, okay, which should be closer to 1%. The flu is, influenza, I think, is 0.5 to 1%. Okay? So, also, and you can ask Tucker Carlson this one, and he was tripping out early. He was tripping out early on, like Donald Trump wasn't doing enough. But I think Donald Trump already had enough information to be able to say, hey, just pump the brakes a little bit on this, okay? We're not going to let this get out of control. We have the information we need to move forward. Anyway, I'm digressing. But what I wanted to tell you was also, Tucker Carlson had a guy on who said that 86% of the symptoms, 80% of the infected are asymptomatic. Okay, so there are no symptoms. So, meaning they can only spread the virus. So, as all these younger people are on vacation, basically, and you know Donald Trump's going to pay for the whole thing. He's going to pay for the whole thing. He's going to pay for the whole thing. People are going to take a whole month off. And bam, he's going to hit them with money. A lot of money. He's not stupid. He's going to take care of the American people like he's been doing for the past almost 4 years now. He's really gone to bat for America. I gotta say that. I'm a Democrat. I voted for Barack Obama for the first time I ever believed in even voting. The first guy I ever even considered voting for was Obama. I'm like, that's our guy. You know, and Obama had tough things to overcome, but Trump is I think quite similar to Barack Obama. He come into a very tough situation, and he's really doing everything he can. And you know what? He's done quite impressive work in my mind. So, people want to hate on that, go ahead. Anyway, so you see, we just shut the entire world down, my friends, and crashed the stock market over media fueled hysteria. And as you can see by the video I just showed you, that did not need to happen. Okay, things were way worse just with the H1N1 thing 10 years ago. So I've been laughing at people when I show them that video, and I'm like, that was 10 years ago. They're like, what? And so I think as of yesterday, the stock market is starting to react to these truths that I'm trying to share with you today. And I hope you don't mind if I continue to put out some information because this is important. This is part of, I think, an awakening we're all going through. And I think that the United States and your average Joe is going to be really better off. Better off just when they look back and analyze this thing. Hopefully no one will lose too much. A lot of people are out of work. I've never seen America shut down for any reason. Not for any reason. I mean, people bought some water during the Y2K scare. That's the last time I remember water. I mean, bottled water wasn't really big back in like the 70s, and that didn't come around till later. But anyway, I think we're headed into a victory, because we're now dealing with hydroxychloroquine, and of course the media is hating on that, because Donald had to open his mouth. What he should do is maybe let the other doctors open their mouths on these new things so they don't attack them. I think he should let those doctors speak more, just to save time. He seems to, poor guy, Donald Trump seems to be the human punching bag for the mainstream media, and except for the handful of people on Fox that seem to be patriots still. Anyway, I think the truth is right here. It's when people on the ground are analyzing all these news sources, putting it together. All my Democrat friends are starting to shake their head. Of course, the Republican friends all shaking their head at this. And it's like when you get down and you're talking to the people and the rubber hits the road, you find out that people are about 50-50. Half of them believe it, half of them don't. Yes, the virus is real. And yes, it's something to be taken seriously, but it should be taken seriously with all the other viruses at the same time on the whole. Viruses just in general can be dangerous, especially if you have compromised health. So, having said all that, I hope we're on a new path. I hope we're on a path of good news, and it's going to be constant good news, because I know we've gone through the worst of this now, the worst of the scare. And let's face it, if you go against Donald Trump, you're making a mistake. He knows what the heck he's doing. He's trying to do everything he can for America. So, let's support him, and let's support what the guys at the CDC are saying. No, they're not going against Donald Trump. I think my next video will be on that. And let's see what's really going on. Let's forget about the spin that's going on in the media, this way or that way, and let's focus on facts, and let's focus on healing. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening.